So basically, the intro session was to just brief what the curriculum is and what are the topics that we would be covering within our entire course. So we would be covering the topics like the need to know topics. That means even before we start with Snowflake, what are the prerequisites that we have, like the basic SQL or the data warehousing concepts. So you need to have a basic understanding of it. And then we would discuss about the Snowflake architecture and introduction to cloud, introduction to data warehouse concepts, introduction to Snowflake, understanding the cloud platforms, data loading and unloading, Snowpipe, partner connect, handling the various types of the data, structured and the semi-structured. How do we schedule with Snowflake? Hmm? How do we secure the data sharing, and what is about cloning? Time travel fail safe, and the query caching, clustering and the performance techniques and the advanced topics. So these are the 16 sessions. So it may go up to 20 to 23 sessions. So within that 20 to 23 sessions, we would be completing the Snowflake course. Any questions you have from the course curriculum? Okay, I take that as a no.
Um,
Yeah.
so when you say data loading or unloading, right? So does it has inbuilt transformations to do that, similar to ETL tools like Informatica or Data Stage, or are we
No,
talking about SQL things?
no, the SQL things. So we cannot directly load and unload data. We have to use either an ETL tool or a Python script.
Okay.
Hmm.
So Snowflake
So
is just a database on cloud platform, right?
yeah, it's a warehouse on a cloud platform.
Okay, got it.
Mm. So the loading and unloading is something which that looks like if you have
Can you hear?
you write external tables, you know how to read the data from a file, right?
Hello?
Yeah.
In a DB. Hello. Yes.
Can you hear me? Gagan here.
Yes, I can. Yeah, I can hear
Uh,
you, Gagan.
I interrupted you in between. So
No
yeah,
problem.
so actually my mic was not working somehow. So
Oh,
yeah, yeah. So basically, actually, I am a database developer since from last 10 years. So working in Oracle PLSQL and
okay.
performance. So that's the means. I worked on also migration, data migration projects.
Mm-hmm.
So bit having idea in Python. So also means so this is my background. So it will be beneficial for me like to go in Snowflake or not. First, I want to understand that.
Okay. Yes, definitely it is because the reason you have come for the training itself is you know what the demand is in the market, right? It's basically the demand and it's basically the flexibility of the Snowflake. Like mm, you might have gone through
It's my first
list of
session. So
different. Yeah, yeah. So so basically, the Snowflake doesn't need a huge infrastructure to start with,
okay,
like any other DB, any other DBs or the warehouse on-prem warehouses. So it's a cloud solution. It is very fast to deploy, and uh, the scalability is very flexible within
mm,
Snowflake. So
yeah,
you can scale up and scale down on the demand, and you won't only pay for what you use.
yeah,
So that means if you if your data warehouse is idle for say couple of hours during the day, so you won't be paying for that particular time.
at that time.
Unlike
Okay.
any
Yeah.
other, yeah, unlike any other, like if you have a Redshift on AWS and if you start your warehouse until you shut it down, you'll be charged, right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yep.
So it is unlikely to have that here. So it's only when you use it. So
Okay. Okay.
only at the time of computing it will charge. So for example, it's built on a it's built on a three layer like this. So you have its cloud services, you have got its computing services, and you have got its storages. So either of these layers can be scaled up and scaled down.
Okay.
Say for instance, if you need a very less computing resources,
Okay. VM I
hmm,
can reduce.
yeah, you can reduce the VM. If you want more storage resources, yes, then you can do that. So
So
in other words, it
3+
is
is first demo, or it's means a series of demo you are going to conduct?
hmm? No, no, the first demo is already done. Today I wanted to start like setting up a Snowflake account,
Okay. Hmm.
and thought like we would go with some sort of real-time scenarios. So we set up a Snowflake account, and in our next session we will be looking at how to load and unload the data, how to use the command line interfaces
Okay.
in
Okay.
Snowflake.
Sure.
Yeah. So I just wanted to go with the real hands-on.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sorry.
No, I'm asking any other questions.
So, no, right now, means, actually, I haven't attended the first demo session. So,
So it's basically you come from a data warehouse background, right?
yeah.
So the demo session was basically on what a database is, what a warehouse is, and why do
Okay.
we need the data. I believe you might have
Yeah.
known all that things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Sure. Yeah.
So shall we go ahead start with
Yes.
setting up an account with Snowflake?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
So does it support the unstructured data as well?
It's suppose the semi-structured data.
When,
Unstructured data, it can be saved as a file.
oh, okay. So basically, it does has the data lake data lake abilities, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So how do we set up this Snowflake account? So so you could go to the Snowflake login page. and you could start a trial for free. So this is available. This would be available for about 3 months, right? So, can somebody provide an email address so that we can start setting up one account? Okay, let me do one. So, although Snowflake is a cloud-based warehouse, the underlying storage would be used by any of these partners. Like it could be an Azure, it could be a AWS, it could be built on a Google platform. Any questions there? So either you could start your account with the AWS and you try and choose the nearest area for you.
So does it not support on-premise?
No, it doesn't. It's completely a cloud-based.
Okay.
Hmm. So, whichever country you are in, so you choose your nearest data center and then say get started. Okay. An email will be sent to your Snowflake account to your Gmail with the instructions. So it's fairly simple setup. Okay. So the activation link would be sent, and all that you have to do is you have to click to activate. So now you could create your username. Now this is a fairly simple setup. So now you could just log in and your warehouse would be ready. Your warehouse would be ready. Clear or any questions? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we are good. Yes.
Okay. So you could see how simple the setup is, right? So it's unlike any other database. On your left hand side, you would be having the list of objects that you would have. This is your work area, and here you would see your results. So by default, you'll be logged in as an account admin, and all the roles have been created by the Snowflake. So the account admin is basically nothing but it's like your administrator account in your any other databases. So based on the different roles, you could use the options: the security admin, system admin, and user admin. So account admin is basically your super admin, your super user. So Snowflake, basically most of the tools, like most of the upcoming tools, they are uh, GUI based. So even in Snowflake, you could create your tables, you could create your databases with a one click, or you don't have to write the SQL query. It would generate the SQL query for you. Having said that, it won't be able to generate any of the logics. It won't be able to generate any of the stored procedures for you. Okay. So we have two databases by default. It has created. Hello. So one is a demo, and other one is a Snowflake databases. So you could create your own databases here. So creating a database is like this. So say.
So this
mm,
is the default database Snowflake is providing.
yes.
Okay. So why two they are providing?
No, that is this is your demo account, right? It's for the practice account. So it doesn't mean
No,
that it has to provide.
means for demo also means by default they are providing, so they can provide only one database, right? Why they provide two? Any specific reason?
I don't think there would be any specific reason. So
Any differences? So
mhm. No, one has got some same sample data, and other one is a normal DB. Like if you don't want to create, you could delete those.
okay, it's the second
Yeah,
one
but
is
by default it would come. By default, the Snowflake DB would be there.
hmm, okay, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now when you create a database, you don't have to write a query to run this database, or you could just using a user interface. You can say create database, and any comments you have. This this DB is created for a new batch. Okay. So The underlying SQL is already been created. You could
Sir,
select
I
that
have a
SQL.
question.
Sorry?
This date Snowflake is not SQL or it's a relational database?
No, it's a NoSQL. So it is not, yeah, it is not a relational database. No, it's not.
Okay.
Hmm. So you don't have uh, any concept like indexing or the primary key. The partitioning is taken care by Snowflake themselves. So you don't even have to worry about the partitioning of your tables. Uh, all the tables are partitioned based on the patented uh, a- a partitioning
Oh,
technique.
yeah,
So
got
yeah,
it.
mm.
So no tuning required on this database?
Sorry.
So no performance tuning is required in this database?
No, no, it's not really. It's not really. At the table structure level, the performance tuning is not required until and unless the procedures you write, right? The way
Hmm.
you read and the way you play with the
Hmm.
data, that has to be tuned.
Okay.
So
Means, but SQL
if
level
you
there is
force it,
no is it required, right?
no, at the DB level, no, I mean there is no tuning that is required.
SQL label means if I'm writing some select statement or creating view,
Mm-hmm.
that time tuning is required because in
Yes,
database we required views or
Ye- yes,
right.
yes. At that time, it is required.
Okay, okay, sir. Yeah, thank you very
Mm,
much.
yeah. So the moment either you say finish or you could get to your SQL code, copy it, or you could directly say you can, it's finish. And at the back end, it would already created your DB. If you look at the history and if you go back to your history, the snap of all the queries that have been run on the Snowflake, you would be fine. You would be having it here. So this is at one place you could see what are the queries, or what are the computation that has been done on the Snowflake server will be listed out within this one place, and you could filter it based on hmm, the criteria. Clear, or any questions? Okay. So here you could create your worksheets. That means it's a worksheet same as in your MS SQL or any other database. And when you run the queries, it's like, say if you want to select, do you have any tables here? Not yet, right? So, so let us create a one sample table and let us see what would happen. Go back to your database, select, sorry, go back to your databases, select your DB, select a schema, create a schema, say that, and start creating your table. What's the table name? sample, demo, and you could say like ID, name, contact. So here, as I told you, we don't have a, a primary key or a foreign key concept. Having said that, we could say like we can define whether this element is it nullable or a non-nullable. So and these are the data types that are being supported in Snowflake. We have a variant data type for using for handling the structured and the semi-structured data. Sorry, for handling the semi-structured data. So now this whole exercise could be done even without your GUI interface. You could go back to your worksheets, refresh this, you would see all your sample details here. The thing is, sorry, can I take a call? Something is urgent. Yes, sorry about that. So the beauty of Snowflake is you would, if you want to know a record count in any of our conventional DB or any of the warehouse, you have to write a SQL query, right? But here in Snowflake, based on even if you go on a mouse over, it will give you all the details, the basic details of the table, right? So your table name, when was it created, who is the owner, and how many rows of data it has, and what is the size that has been occupied on your storage layer. And when you come and click the three dots here, it would give you options like preview data, view details, place name in SQL. Preview data does nothing but it's a simple select query. It's a simple query. It does, and it would give you results and what your data preview is. And when you say view details, it would give you the table structure. Give you the table structure and place name in SQL, which is nothing but it will just bring out the name in here. So this is as good as running a query. So either you could do it from here or from here. So this basically you have to follow the naming convention, right? You have to give the database name and the schema name and your table name. So this is where you select your roles, which warehouse you are using on, what is the database and what is the schema. You have two warehouses. You have only one warehouse that is defined here. So which is excess. So the warehouse sizes in Snowflake is given as your normal t-shirt sizes. Like your excess is extra small, small, large, medium, double XL. So we will get to know more in detail about those in the coming classes. Any questions so far? Okay, I
No,
take that
Sri.
again. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, so these are the worksheets that it would last year. So by default, there is no option like you got to save these queries on your warehouse. All that you can do is you can name this worksheet and keep it like that. Hmm. But it's always a best practice to keep all your DDLs in one place locally. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, so let us try and load some data. Let us try and load some data onto this Snowflake.
So,
We have
Sri, actually,
mhm,
you said like we have to use warehouse, right?
yes,
Yeah. So compute warehouse, right? So why
yes.
we are using warehouse? Sorry, I think I missed some point.
Okay, okay. So
Means why we
warehouse.
need to select the warehouse here?
Just can you come again? Why do we
Yeah.
need to?
Why do we need warehouse to select here? Means so just storage location we are selecting, because of that we need, it's necessary to select the warehouse here.
Yes, it is because um, so the warehouse you don't look at as our conventional warehouse. Okay,
Okay.
our
Hmm?
conventional. So this warehouse would consist of all your basically this warehouse would consist all your databases.
Hmm.
So this warehouse defines I mean what your cluster size is. So in other words, you could consider this warehouse as a cluster. In other words,
Okay.
hmm?
So every time I have to select same warehouse when I'm running same query.
It depends on your need, right?
No,
So
no, no.
if you
Since my question is like, as like you just so now you written like a select star from my
Mhm,
2022 demo
mhm,
MAY and
mhm.
sample is the table, right?
Yes,
So I selected warehouse like compute WH access,
zero.
right?
Yes.
So when I'm running same query uh, tomorrow, so I have to select same warehouse or
No, if it is a one warehouse by default, that would be selected. But if it is a different warehouse, right, and you don't have it,
Hmm.
you don't have these database and those tables in that warehouse, you won't be able to run, right?
Okay, so I have
So
to
it
select
is,
same warehouse every time,
yeah,
right?
you have to select the same warehouse. So from
Okay.
one warehouse, you won't be able to access another warehouse.
Yes, yes, that's my yeah. So
Okay.
this everything will store in same warehouse, right?
Yes, everything will be stored in same warehouse.
Okay, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So let us load some data into our Snowflake. You can take a note of this site, which is mockaroo.com, where you can randomly generate some sample data as per your need. Name.
Could you ping me this side name actually?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Where is this chart here? Um, I'm not used to go to meeting, so that's the reason. Uh, meet, okay, okay. Can you? Uh,
Let me ping there.
yeah. No, have you got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a very useful tool that we could use for our practicing sessions where you want to generate some random data. Even Snowflake does that. We will look it in the coming classes. But
Okay.
this is very
Yeah.
user friendly. So
Okay.
ID, name and contact. ID you can give what sort of IDs you want. If say ID is by default it's a row number. ID is a row number, and say for example, if you want something in names, right? So what name is that you need, whether it's a first name, file name, or a first, you have all these options here, right? So you could select what is that you need for that names. If you want to select a username or a full name, let us use full name. And contact, you choose the type as contact as a, we could use a phone number, and we can define the format. How do you want that phone number to be? And you could say how many rows you want to generate. Say if you want to generate 200 rows, 200 rows. And format, what is the format that you would need? You need a CSV, JSON, tab delimited, Cassandra. Let us get an SQL for it. So download data. Now you have, now you have an insert query. Clear? Insert query with 200 records. Any questions? Take a set of records, go back to our SQL, insert into. This is not a mock data. What is our table name? Sample, right? That is the reason it was not allowing. So just get few records. So why is it not allowing, like you have a compilation or a syntax error? Any clue? Because the ID we have defined it as a string in the beginning. We will look at how to load this entire file at once in tomorrow's session, the bulk load. You have to give the full name. Okay. Let us replace this whole thing. Why only one record is inserted? Because SQL here in Snowflake, it doesn't allow you to run all the queries by default. You got to select all the queries that needs to be run and then execute it. If you select by default to run, it does only the last line where the cursor is given. Any questions there? Now you could see how many records. You could see 11 rows that have been inserted. So say for instance, we have read the data from this table. This has been read in 216 microseconds, right? Say for instance, tomorrow you come and run the same session, it took only 37. Why is that? Because whenever a certain query is run on a Snowflake, the entire data is stored at a buffer location. So that means whenever you do a select query on this particular table, and if there are no changes made on the table, how many times you may query the table, the computing won't be charged apart from the first time. Let me repeat. So if you are querying some data from a table with some uh, 10 million records, for instance, and you have queried the data, and you would be querying the same data again and again. So what would happen for each and every execution? As I said, Snowflake will be charged only for the computing that we use for. So select would also consume some sort of computing. It would need some sort of a computing, right? So my select query, even if you run like 10 times or 20 times, it will be only charged for the first time. That means it's not going to hit your DB every time until and unless there is a change on the DB. Any questions? Hello? Okay. So in tomorrow's session, we will look at how do we access the Snowflake through a command line interface, and how the micro partitions are done, and how the files are stored in your AWS storage locations. Okay. Hello.
Yeah.
So any questions from today's session? Okay, take that as a no. So yeah. Okay, guys, thanks for joining, and we'll see you in the next
Thanks,
class
Rick.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for session. Yeah, it was nice session.
Okay, thank you.